What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the NoJobRob show. In today's video, I'm going to talk about call centers, and I was surprised to find that a lot of people were trying to find out whether or not it was a good idea for them to get a job in a call center, or if they have one, whether or not it was a good idea for them to leave. So just be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. I do videos every single day just related to time, location, and financial freedom, and I spent the years of 16 to 26, approximately 10 years in the call center industry at 3 different companies. So I have a bit of insight, certainly, into what it's actually like to work there. I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons, and I'll just start by covering a little bit of my experience. When I was about 19, I got a call center job at a leading industry lottery services contractor, and I quickly learned that call center life is very much a game. You're very much a number, more so than an employee. There are limited interactions. Now, I'm going to generalize a lot in this video, but there are limited interactions with supervisory personnel, so you're more so your statistics, and as long as you don't make waves, you keep up appearances, you're very agreeable with anything that you're asked to do, then you can make it pretty far. Now, if you're a younger person, then you have every advantage to advance in the call center environment, and that's exactly what I experienced because I was at peak mental clarity roughly around the age of 19, 20, 21 when I first started there. So it was very easy for me to get promotions every so often, get raises every few months, and there were tons of opportunity for me. So I eventually found myself in somewhat of a supervisory role. I was responsible for a team of 35 employees, and I was actually filling in for a supervisor that was always out on sick leave. And when she returned to work, they asked me to continue managing her team for her, and I actually said no. And it was the first time that I had quote-unquote lost the game, because it was the first time that I didn't keep up that appearance, and I didn't go with whatever it is that they said they wanted me to do. So all the promotions and benefits and bonuses and everything kind of like stopped there. But they were in the middle of mass layoffs, so it's difficult to tell if I could have kept my job anyway. But they eliminated the majority of the leadership personnel, which I was a part. So I was laid off from my job shortly thereafter. My days were probably numbered anyway. But the reason why I stopped being so agreeable was because I had decided that I had no passion for the call center field, and while I was still young, I wanted to take the opportunity to pursue something that would actually be fulfilling to me. Unfortunately, the majority of people around me didn't really have the same type of standards for themselves, and I was noticing a lot of people that had really just given up on life, and they were kind of trapped by the perceived security of being in the call center position because the pay is decent, and I say that somewhat reluctantly, but it's definitely higher than if you were to work at something like another unskilled job, like a fast food restaurant or a grocery store, something of that nature. So when the minimum wage was about $8 an hour, I was making $12 an hour, which felt like a lot for a young person who was single with very low expenses. But I was able to move my way up and make close to about $20 an hour, so that comes to my salary. It was just over $37,000 a year before taxes, and it felt like I was balling around that time. Little did I know that that wasn't anywhere close to enough to live a life of freedom or on my own terms. I was really just being grateful for and settling for what was given to me and enjoying my 2 to 4 weeks off a year. But I realized that that was no way to live, and one of the things that definitely spurred me to that way of thinking was, first of all, coming across a couple of different websites. One of them was thepennyhoarder.com. It was more centered towards rather low income things that you can do on the side to try to get like a tiny bit of extra cash coming in, like doing paid surveys and that sort of thing. But it introduced me to the idea of selling on eBay, which I was able to do and make a few grand doing. And MrMoneyMustache.com sort of got me started on the whole FIRE, financial independence, retire early. So he had a ton of information related to when he was a computer engineer. He was able to save up the majority of his salary over the course of about 10 years and then retire at the age of 30, which I thought was absolutely fascinating because, like I've mentioned in other videos, I didn't really have any idea what my passion was. I just knew that I was passionate about being in control of my time, and it started to get me thinking about passive income and different things I could do to escape that rat race or that direct time for money exchange. And finally, when I started reading The 4-Hour Workweek, I remember being disgruntled at my desk around the age of 25. I was in that supervisory role. I'd been in the industry almost a decade, and I was so ready for something else, but I just had no idea what that something else was. And I read the book, and it totally revolutionized the way that I thought about my occupation, because it introduced me to the fact that I could create a business that I would largely be able to systematize and automate, and I could step away from it and only put in a few hours a week and, continue to make an income off of the business, if it was done adequately. But on the other hand, there were certainly some benefits. There were some skills that I learned that I probably would not have learned over the course of school and college, in terms of how to communicate with people on a professional level, whether they're, your superiors or subordinates, just how to interact, how to correspond, how to follow directions, how to keep up appearances. So it gave me a pretty good launching point when I got laid off, and I had the option of getting another similar job, but I decided that I had learned enough and I was in a good enough position where if I acquired some additional skills and made some good decisions, then I wouldn't have to return to work. And it's been over 3 years now, and I still haven't returned to full-time work, so so far so good. Like I said, I got into selling on eBay, and then I started to learn about things like affiliate marketing and other more passive business models, so that's been my pursuit, as you can especially see with this channel. But again, you're going to get some pay that's good enough for a very simple life. If you want to start like a small family and keep your expenses low, then it depends what you're looking for. If you're in a situation where you're looking for something stable, even though you may not have experience or a college degree, then they largely promote from within. So you have a good opportunity to get in on the ground floor, and then if you perform well, then you can find yourself in a supervisory or a management role. It all depends what your goals are. But if you're a young person, I might recommend it as just a way to save up some cash, especially as you can keep ahead because your expenses are so low when you're younger. But I would just caution against falling into the way of thinking that so many people do, and they get scared, and the companies perpetuate this sense of, oh, like, what are you going to do without this paycheck? You feel so secure when you're getting paid every week or every 2 weeks, but the price for that a lot of people don't even realize they're paying is that they're not pursuing their dreams, they're not pursuing something that's actually going to make them happy, and they feel like they should be so grateful that they have this mediocrity. But it certainly wasn't for me. Again, I had no idea how I was going to be successful or what it was I was going to do to live life on my terms, but I figured I would bet on myself, and I figured that call centers were not the answer. It took me a while to figure that out, but here I am. So you can certainly do well. Like I said, if you're at that peak mental clarity, it should be extremely easy for you. The jobs themselves are easy. It's mostly just a matter of following a set list of procedures or steps. A lot of everything is already done for you. You just got to recite the scripts. So the challenge in the job is just getting verbally beat down over and over by angry customers. Usually the calls, depending on the call center, of course, but they can certainly be at a relentless pace, and it's just one problem that you have to solve after another. It can be very mentally exhausting. Easy as it may be, it takes a degree of willpower to solve problems, especially if they're people that you don't even care about that are already coming at you with a bad attitude. So the challenge is continuing to do that and continuing to, adhere to the metrics that they want you to do that in, and again, just keeping a smile on your face and being agreeable all the while, just eating the shit. But yeah, overall, guys, just dream bigger for yourselves. I mean, you can use it to save up some money as an easy and, again, a better way to do so than being a waitress or whatever it is you want to use as an example. But, just continue thinking about, what ideally you'd like to do with your life. I mean, I doubt that it's work the way up the corporate ladder at a call center, Like I alluded to, I mean, you're more of a number than a person. So any sense of individuality or creativity is shunned in a call center. In many cases, they won't even let you customize your workstation or anything like that. They may watch you in a sort of like Nazi-like way, just waiting for you to slip up and find something to discipline you for. A lot of the time you may get into a job at a point where the company is doing well, but as soon as the company is no longer doing well, then they point the finger at the people on the bottom and they say, oh, they're not working hard enough, we need to pay closer attention to what they're doing, and then they start stripping away anything that may give you comfort in the job until there's nothing but just relentless calls and the prospect of losing your raise being hung over your head because you missed a metric by a few points. That, and there's so much familiarity. A lot of the time people work extremely set schedules, so you're working with a lot of the same people over and over, so you get maybe a little too familiar with a lot of people, and everyone's personal lives start to intermingle. There's a lot of envy and resentment over people perceiving that others are getting more and better treatment than they are. It's just a cesspool of human psychology and insecurity, just in my experience. So that's my final assessment. I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I got out, and I would only recommend it if you're thinking of it in a very temporary way, or if you think that you'll be perfectly happy in that situation, or perhaps moving up a couple rungs. But yeah, just don't fall into the false sense of security. There's nary really an element of job security very much anymore in the workforce, and you're not beholden to getting a paycheck. That's not the be all end all. Just save up 6 months of expenses. If you have enough to live on and cover all of your expenses for 6 months, then you can afford to quit your job and find something else to do. I mean, you give yourself a little bit of breathing room. That's not a ton. It's more of like an emergency situation. But if you save up and you have something to fall back on, then don't be afraid to leave a job. I mean, everyone's situation is different. Maybe you need the benefits more so than someone else, but don't be afraid to pursue something that's less individually and spiritually oppressive. Is the best way that I could put it. So glad I did it. Glad I'm out. If I didn't say that already, but hope you guys found this somewhat helpful. Again, like I said, I was a little surprised to see that it was rather heavily searched term as far as whether or not you should work there, what it's actually like to work there. So maybe I was able to illuminate some of that for you guys. But other than that, just hit the like and subscribe button. Generally, I do make money online videos on this channel, so I'm going to link at the end of this video to a playlist of different methods that you can use of videos that I've made to make money online. And other